Local unemployment rate is edged up slightly. The jobless rate in the April to June period stood at 3.2%, up from 3.1% in the 3 months ending May. The government said the increase was mainly in the cleaning and related sector. It's the first increase in the unemployment rate after it remained unchanged for 5 consecutive months. And Secretary for Labor and Welfare Matthew Jung warned that a slowdown in local consumption, along with fresh graduates and school leavers looking for work, could put pressure on the labor market in the short term.
The vice president of a state-funded think tank believes there will still be room for discussion after the National People's Congress Standing Committee makes its decision on political reform in Hong Kong. That's according to Lau Siu Kai of the National Association of Study on Hong Kong and Macau. Ronnie Samtani has more.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying has submitted his report on political reform to the National People's Congress Standing Committee. Lau Siu Kai, vice president of the National Association of Study on Hong Kong and Macau, says it's possible that civil nomination of CE candidates in the 2017 election will be rejected by the NPC Standing Committee. But he thinks as long as there's no public nomination, public recommendation, or party nomination, there will still be room for discussion between the SAR government and different parties on how political reform should be carried out.
But I cannot anticipate what the NPC Standing Committee will be doing in August. But my prediction is that it is quite unlikely that it will consider accepting any form of civil nomination. The best it can do is to expand the representativeness of the nominating committee. But even so, I don't think it will really satisfy the aspirations and demands of the radical elements in the Democratic camp.
Meanwhile, Basic Law Committee member Maria Tam says the government's report on political reform is representative of all the different views.
I think the report has truly reflected what information and views that they have gathered in the 5 months consultation period, and all the annexures are there for you to examine. So I think it truly reflects the view of Hong Kong people.
She added that she doesn't know when the NPC Standing Committee will discuss political reform in Hong Kong, but from her understanding, the committee is expected to make a decision in August. Ronnie Samtani, TVB News.
Many people suffering from hepatitis C go undiagnosed, and even more go uncured. Jonathan Lee examines a recent study conducted by the Chinese University Center for Liver Health.
Hepatitis C can lead to cirrhosis, liver failure, and even cancer. And it shows no visible symptoms until it's difficult to treat. The New Life, New Liver program screened 230 high-risk individuals, such as ex-drug users and those who had had blood transfusions, and more than half of them tested positive for the hepatitis C virus. 90% of the sufferers were unaware they even had the disease, and just 53% agreed to undergo medical checkups, with only 20% choosing to receive treatment. Conventional treatment is difficult for patients, requiring weekly injections to the stomach. Mr. Yan, a 65-year-old patient, says the treatment gave him side effects ranging from joint pains, fevers, appetite loss, to sleep deprivation. And the drug he used, PEG interferon, doesn't even cure the disease in 50% of the cases. But there are new drugs called direct-acting antivirals, or DAAs, which target the virus genome directly, eradicating hepatitis C in 70% of the trial cases. And the next generation of DAAs cure 90% of hepatitis C cases and don't require PEG interferon injections. But there's a catch.
Because we know that the next generation DAA are very expensive. They're extremely effective with very few side effects. But the cost, we are talking about more than 10 times of the existing PEG interferon plus ribavirin therapy.
At $1,000 a pill, DAA schemes are currently cost prohibitive, but local experts are working with to develop cheaper DAA schemes, which they hope will eventually replace conventional treatment. Jonathan Lee, TVB News.
It looks like WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange will have to continue hiding out inside Ecuador's London embassy. This after a Swedish court upheld an arrest warrant for him. Assange has spent the last 2 years in Ecuador's London embassy to avoid extradition to Sweden over allegations of sexual assault as police continue to wait outside. He denies the allegations and his lawyers plan to appeal the decision. He's been fighting the extradition order since his arrest in 2010 in Britain. Assange fears that once he reaches Sweden, he'll be extradited to the United States to be tried for one of the largest leaks of classified information in U.S. history. All right, Chris, over to you for sports.
Yeah, let's get down to some boxing. Boxer Manny Pacquiao will fight a relative unknown in his next bout, scheduled for later this year. The Filipino icon will take on American Chris Algieri. That's at Macau's Cotai Arena in November. Algieri is the current WBO light welterweight champion with a record of 20-0. The 30-year-old is also a former kickboxing champion. The announcement came as a surprise, as many people thought Pacquiao's next fight would be against rival Juan Manuel Marquez. Hong Kong boxer Rex So faces his next challenge this Saturday in Macau. So is coming off his toughest fight, one in which he came back from 2 knockdowns to keep his world title hopes alive. Jameson Wong has more.
The learning curve has been steep and at times painful. The hands still don't look quite right, while the nose knows. But Hong Kong's Rex So is ready for the next hard lesson.